I do group therapy, and that's just a magical experience. And sometimes the group members are a bit surprised at me not getting emotionally involved when people are in pain, and I have to explain to them that I'm really enjoying their growth.
Say this to them. Say this to them. I am emotionally involved, but I'm on the flip side of the emotion.
Sure.
I am so emotionally involved. I'm involved in the emotion of the wholeness, of the love, of the well-being. I could not be more emotionally involved.
Yeah. There's a few other things that happen. Sometimes, I think this is almost stating the obvious, sometimes I find myself, it's almost like I step back and it just comes through me. And I haven't learned how to perfect that or when to do it. It just happens sometimes.
Well, the reason you haven't learned how to perfect that is because it's not your job to do. It's your job to step back. It will perfect itself. You do the stepping back part.
Well, it's the stepping back bit that I've got to work on, yeah.
Well, it's masterful what you're doing. You see, as Esther steps back, it's easy for her because as over time, she has learned to get herself out of the way. That's what she says every time she stands in readiness for us to come. Abraham, I want to speak clearly your words. In other words, she doesn't want her opinion or her involvement to be part of the mix. She just wants Abraham to flow through. But it's easier in an environment like this where you're doing the asking and we're doing the answering. You're doing step 1. We're doing step 2, and Esther is doing step 3. But it is a little more difficult when you are one-on-one with someone who keeps wanting to pull you back into their reality. This is a much easier forum than the one that you're standing in.
Thank you.
Esther has noticed that if she has an issue, for her to ask the question, she has to make something different happen before she's in a vibrational place that she can receive the answer, because the question or the problem is a very different vibration than the answer and the solution. So what happens to you is, as they express to you their problem, sometimes they activate a little of the problem so that you can't access the vibration of the solution because they're different frequencies. And that's why you have to put a sort of buffer between, which would make them call you aloof or detached. And so you want to explain.
My wife calls me that more, but that's...
You want to explain that to all of them right up front. You're going to find me, anytime you're complaining, you're going to find me detached. And anytime you're focused upon something that's making you feel fear, you're going to find me detached.
Yes, and I've said words very similar to that, and I thank you. I thank you for reaffirming that in me, because it does help. In
the physical world, there is this thing that you hammer at each other about how you need to be there for me and you need to have compassion for where I am. And there could not be a more bogus concept in all of the creative universe, because what that's saying is, crawl out of your vortex and slime over here with me in the muck and mire of my life, and then help me.
If only I could get you to a psychiatric conference.
We'd go, but they would commit Esther.
I'd like to ask one very big question that's been with me for a while, and then maybe one quick personal one. It seems to me, and you've used words, things are always working out for you, even when it does not appear so. Now, that's a big statement, because I presume when you say that, that applies when you're not in the vortex, when you're not aligned. When you say that things are always working out for you, the question is there another force that looks after us? Is there a stream of general well-being that comes from source or from our inner being that sits outside of the law of attraction?
No, it doesn't.
Sits outside.
It doesn't sit out. It doesn't sit outside.
But if we're not in our vortex, I hear people talk about...
Here's what we mean by that.
Yeah.
First of all, this outside and inside the vortex is a teaching tool to help you to understand the two possible vibrational frequency variations between you and you. That's the only reason that we are using that outside, inside the vortex. Your inner being is always there for you. But as you are here with free will to choose the thoughts that you choose, you may very well choose a thought that puts you out of easy vibrational access to your inner being. But your inner being never stops knowing you and projecting to you and rooting for you and calling you ever.
That is, I think, for people, for myself, as you say, it's one and the same. That's incredibly reassuring to know, because moving into the vortex, I've spent so much time there, and I've spent time out of it. And doing that voluntarily is a challenge.
It's only a challenge if what you're observing is controlling your thoughts. But in the moment that you switch to caring about how you feel, and you're using how you feel as your criteria for your focus, then it all flips, and it flips fast and easy. Yeah. And the people that you're dealing with are easier than the majority of people on the planet, because the stakes are higher for them.
And they're selected by...
They are at that last frontier, that last-ditch effort.
And they've come knowing pretty much what I do, and so I have a head start, and that's why we have such wonderful experiences together. Okay, so to summarise that, that your inner being is looking out for you, even when you're not necessarily operating in the best way that can get you into the...
And in fact, let's take it further so that you can feel it completely. The negative emotion you feel is only possible because of the existence of your inner being.
Yes.
If that vibration of who you really are were not vibrationally happening, you couldn't feel discord from it.
So that's a sign that it's there.
Don't you love knowing that?
Yeah, that's very cool. Okay, the last issue, and this is, well, it's all about me, it's about my patients. My life has been, well, you've explained it, and since I have come across your teachings, I've had this rather odd life, which I realised was odd from very early on, where I've had everything happen to me that I've ever wanted. And not just materially, and I had some fairly significant material desires, but that's all come.
You know, we have to interrupt you. You know what's odd about that?
What?
That you're calling it odd.
Well, let me tell you where I'm going here, as I suspect you probably already know, but it's not even that. I mean, things I didn't even look for, but just came so naturally, which is love in my amazing relationship with my wife and my 2 teenage children, and some very close friends. And I've been able to do pretty much what I want. I take 12 weeks holidays a year. I get to write. I embed your ideas at a secretive level in my writings.
Don't tell Esther.
Oh, don't worry. When I can, when people are ready for it, they know where it comes from. But yeah, I get to write, to teach, to run workshops, and in this place where pretty much everything I ever wanted has happened, I actually find myself now, for the first time, worrying about losing, and I really don't want any more. Everything I have now is...
Yes, you do.
And that's the challenge for me here, because I know that at one level you have to keep on growing. There's another part of me that...
No, you don't have to keep on growing. You just can't help it.
There's a part of me that...
Now,
that goes,
before you
this
go
is
further,
so good.
Wait, because you said something really important. You said there were things apparently waiting for me that I didn't even know were there.
Yes.
And yet now you're saying it's different than that? You can't accept that there will always be more delicious things waiting for you that you cannot necessarily...
I'm almost hitting the limits of my imagination. And
never.
And I know, and that's what I'm having trouble.
You may be exceeding... Here's what's happening to you.
Yes.
You may be exceeding your ability to articulate it. You might have to start feeling it forward.
Yes, that's... I'm better with the words and the deconstruction and the thinking.
Then let's start with A.
You serious?
Well, we just wanted to make a point.
I can go and do that. And look, I hear that. There was something there that I've got to make I can't help but. Thank you. Can I just ask one thing of Jerry?
Before you do,
Yes.
we want to, there's something really
Yes.
good here that we want to talk about, and that is that because you incrementally are putting all kinds of things into this vortex not knowing it, it's natural that once you begin to make a concerted effort to line up with what's there, for a lot to happen fast.
And that's happened.
And then once you consistently get in and you reap the benefit of everything that's been being queued up for you,
Yes.
we can see how it would begin to feel like it's slowing down a little bit. It's like you
Exactly.
pulled the rubber band back, and when you let go, you took a really good ride, but now you're not pulling it back as far before you let it go. So
It almost feels slow, and I'm getting bored.
a woman said to us one day, we were trying to guide her into some description of what she wanted, because she said something similar to what you just concluded. And so we were listing some things that she might want. And she said, oh no, I don't want those things. I've already got them. As if wanting has to always be a new, unfulfilled desire. So what we are suggesting to you is, as you savor the deliciousness of what has come and what is coming and what's there, in other words, can you, from this conversation that we've experienced just now together,
It's been very special.
agreed, just from this brief conversation that we've experienced together, you have acknowledged a process that has not come to fruition yet that will help patients worldwide for generations to come. And you hold the key to it. Now that's something to be excited about. That's something to get sort of hot over. In other words, I know stuff and I have ways of verbalizing it.
Can I be honest? It's the only thing that really scares me, is when people say stuff like that to me. Because, that is so big. And who...
So now think about what you just said. We just said stuff because we're looking at your vortex, and you said, that scares me, which means what? You're looking at it differently than we are.
And look, I get the excitement that sits just beside it.
So get over it.
Yeah, get over it.
Do the work.
I actually have
do the work.
You know, I can't say to people, get over it, because I just feel that is, they come to me to help them get over it. And you've just done that to me, which is very cool. It's the only thing you said yesterday I had a strong emotional reaction to. Because telling people to get over it when they have no idea how to do it, but I sense that you only say that to people when they do know how to get over it.
Precisely.
And you've just said that to me, but right.
Well, teacher to teacher, we knew you'd know the plan.
Okay.
You see, the best thing we do is reflect back to people what they already know.
No kidding.
And that's the best thing.
I always do that when I'm stuck. Yeah. Although I know you're not stuck. Can I just say something to Jerry quickly, please?
Prepare yourself.
Well, it's funny because from a very young age, I got thrown out of religious education classes because I was asking the minister questions that he couldn't answer, like why, if you're born in the middle of China, should you go to hell? And because you weren't exposed to Jesus and so on. And all my life I've done that. And when I first heard you interviewed, I felt this experience that I don't have with people very often of somebody who was asking questions in a very powerful way that I could absolutely relate to. And I realised that it's through your questioning that this is now happening. And I just wanted to acknowledge that. And I would really love to see a session. I don't know whether we can do it on this cruise, because you're so close to so many issues here, and I'd love to hear where your mind is at, and the questions you're now asking of Abraham, because I've been blessed to have these 3 or 4 questions that I've had. I would just be so fascinated to hear what you're wondering about now, and and what is challenging you, and to have you asked, to put you in the hot seat here.